Well, less than 4 months later, we're finished. Volume 4 is over, and it's pretty good. I'm Mediocrity4, and this is my review of No Safe Haven, the RWBY Volume 4 finale. If you haven't seen this yet, you may want to before watching this review. The mark of a good ending is that it gets you to look back on what it's concluding and see how far the characters have come. Volume 3 did this, but it was serving as both a conclusion to the third volume and the first season, the Beacon arc. Volume 4, on the other hand, is much smaller in scale. The 4 plot threads are wrapped up enough, but also leaving it open for the next volume. Weiss has escaped her father's grasp. Blake has learned her lesson and now seeks to take the fight to the White Fang. Yang has gotten over her biggest hang-ups and now moves to reunite with her sister. Granted, her recovery won't come full circle until she's able to win a big fight. Ranger had the biggest story, but it was also the simplest. They needed to get to Haven, and now they have. But the volume introduced a trio of plots for them to work towards. One of them served as conflict for this volume, and one of them served to introduce conflict for future volumes. Those two plot lines tied together for the third plot, caused by the overarching story, but resolved in this episode. I say with confidence that this is the single greatest plot in the series thus far. Whatever problems may be stretching the seams, the ideas are still there. Crow is saved, the Nuklavi is dead, and the villains continue to plot in the distance, though this time we have a clear idea of how they're going about with said plan. The Nuklavi fight is good. It leaves one or two things to be desired, but this is still easily the best Grim fight since Volume 1, and without as much of a contrived reason for said fight. It also helps that the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube Grim is far and away the most interesting Grim, both in terms of design and method of attack. And instead of just being flash in the pan, there's real substance in this fight. Substance is something that has been sorely lacking from most fights in this series, and anything with Monty's name attached to it. So it's always refreshing to see character moments happening within the fight without slowing it down to a crawl. While Nora and Ren have their moments, Jean and RWBY never stop fighting. Jean reveals a secondary form for his weapon, and RWBY finally breaks out the War Scythe form, and all four contribute in a meaningful way. My only complaint isn't something in the scene, but rather something that isn't. RWBY has officially gone into Toby territory with Jean's semblance. No matter what it ends up being, it isn't worth waiting another year. And the episode kind of falls apart after the Grim is dead. I don't see the Patrollers as a Deus Ex, since they actually gave a decent reason for being there. No, I'm talking about the speech. Frankly, I'm not sure RWBY earned it. I don't think enough happened for her to have the big monologue. I'm all for cheesy speeches for about 2 minutes, 3 to 4 if they're really well written, but 6 minutes is pushing it, especially for this show. I'm sorry, but I still don't like this speech. I would have much rather just show the characters in their final reel as the music plays. RWBY isn't a subtle show. It doesn't need a speech that is this long, but at least it fits RWBY's character. This kind of thing is what I've been saying about her for years. No matter how terrible the situation, no matter how dark it gets, she'll keep moving with a smile on her face. As she speaks, we see a montage of all the characters, Yang racing towards Mistral in her awesome new outfit with zero regard for the timetable that has been the crux of the Ranger segment. Blake goes through a box of things and pulls out the old White Fang logo, and Ilya meets up with the fabulous Fox brothers, reminding everyone that this whole plot really is still happening and it's as dumb as it's been all volume. Weiss is escaping and nothing else. Ty is being reminded how everyone he loves leaves him. Oscar reaches Mistral and even gets his cane back from Crow in the post-credit scene because apparently Crow has had that thing the entire time. Nora and Ren have a tender moment with Jean. Cinder hilariously burns away illusions of RWBY, and the whole thing ends up on a bittersweet note. It's hard to rank this with Volume 3's finale. Volume 3 was much more satisfying and emotional, but as I stated above, it had to be. For what this volume was trying to be, it far surpassed Volume 3. Here's looking forward to Volume 5. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a Valentine's Day special to get to.